Alright everyone, welcome back again to more Witch on the Holy Night. There's no need to panic anymore, both Aoko and Alice are okay. Now the question is, what happens from here? Are they gonna continue on and start another brawl with Toko after she just humiliated them horrendously, you know? But we're gonna continue on and see how this plays out. So if anything else, hope y'all continue to enjoy. Thank you again for all the love and support. Let's do this. Alright guys, and we are back. As a general law of magecraft, a mystic will lose to a stronger, older mystic. The history of the bridge giant dated back well over 1,000 years. Its origins could be traced to the 1st century when Britannia was conquered by the Romans. Conversely, despite having roots dating back to the Age of Gods, runes had unfortunately been lost to time. Rune magecraft was little more than an attempt to revive and use a dead art. However, monsters from fairy tales like the troll were different. They lived on in the hands of Alice Kuonji. The magical world was vast, but one could probably count on one hand the number of magecraft that still functioned after being chanted into existence a millennia ago, as Alice Ploys did. In contrast, Toko the rune user was only about 2 decades old. Carving a rune took only a moment. There was no way a quick spell could defeat the personification of the London Bridge in Alice's homeland. That being said, a beast had appeared that surpassed even those from fairy tales. Beowulf, the Golden Beast. It seemed absurd to compare a small and relatively powerless wolf to a towering stone giant. The Thames Troll's attacks were earthquaking. A direct hit from its 50-ton strikes would smash anything to paste, while glancing a blow would still create mincemeat. And yet the beast had attacked head-on and torn right through it. The wolf's fur bristled, and the creature metamorphosed like a liquid. It was a breathtaking display. The wolf howled at the moon as if in joy, and streaked forth like a bolt of golden light. In an instant, the duel was decided. Oh. He's that powerful, huh? The radiant spear of a wolf flew straight through the giant's chest and sank its teeth into its heart. The troll exploded. Chunks of stony muscle rained down. Luminous fur scattered in the wind. Two mystics dispersed without a trace, and returned from whence they came. The curtain fell on a battle straight out of mythology. There, among the rubble of the fairy tale monster, was the golden wolf, standing like a flame. What came after could barely be described as a battle. It was more like the slaughter of defeated pawns. The wolf leapt on Alice, disembowering her with ease. Its claws cut through the protective wards on Alice's coat like a hot knife through butter. The Golden Wolf. This wolf, which understood human speech, could only be the magical creature known as the werewolf. Werewolves were the forest people of Western Europe, with origins far more ancient than the fabricated vampire legends of the continent. However, none were known to have golden coats. It was said that most elite werewolf bloodlines boasted silver fur. Silver werewolves were pack leaders, and werewolves of that caliber were considered phantasmal, rather than merely magical creatures. But a golden werewolf was superior even to that, and so transcended human knowledge. Alice Kuronji's ploys were among the ultimate mystics to have been created by mankind. Therefore, the golden wolf could only have been a mystic born of the planet. When a celestial body has been active for millions, even billions of years, occasionally a miraculous droplet of creation spills over into our current world. This mystic had to be over 3,000 years old. A human mage. No, any mage living in the current magical paradigm would be helpless against the golden wolf. Not even in theory would they stand a chance of defeating it. Which meant that this werewolf was Aoko and Alice's worst nightmare.
そう。アリスがお手上げの相手だものね。私がどうにかできるはずもなかったわけだ。でも 要は魔術でなければいいのよね。テムズの動力は魔力だけど、テムズのパンチは純粋な衝撃でしょ。当たりさえすればぺしゃんこじゃないの。
残念だけど。あれ、基本は狼の姿なだけで、状況によって形を変えるわ。テムズの腕を受け止めた時は、大猿みたいになっていたし。機関銃やロケットで狙っても、かわされるか、体の硬い生き物に変化して防ぐんじゃないかしら。
地球上の生き物なら何にでも変われるってことか。でもまあ、質量までは無理かな。基本は2メートル台の生物のいいとこ取りってあたりで勘弁してほしいわね。ねえ、すごく関係ないけど、深海の生き物に変わられたらちょっと怖いと思わない？
Aoko narrowed her eyes as she bemoaned this creature's existence. The conversation appeared to have revived her fighting spirit. Once again, her eyes were focused and her thoughts clear. Aoko was back to her usual self.
で、その後はアリス、うまく逃げられたの？
いいえ、私もあの狼にやられたわ。
Alice explained how the wolf had pinned her to the ground. Incidentally, she kept the part about Sojiro rather short. Alice herself was not entirely sure why she felt it necessary to leave most of that information out.
アリスが相手をした後、休む間もなく私のところに来たわけか。初めから昨日で決着をつけるつもりだったんだ、兄貴。姉妹かな。ここぞって時のタイミングは一緒だったの忘れてた。切り札は見せたからには敵を殲滅しなくちゃいけない。姉貴は視点を残り2つにしておいて、自分の正体を告げてこっちの戦力を分けさせた。その時点で奥の手を投入してくることは覚悟してたけど、まさか人狼なんて極物とはね。
Aoko let out a heavy sigh. Alice nodded slightly in agreement.
それはそれとして、宗十郎がアリスを助けに行くなんてね。感謝しなくちゃいけないんだろうけど、バカな真似してくれたわ。私が瞳子の立場なら、報復の可能性は一つ残らず排除する。私たちがどうにかなった後、猫の手首ひねるみたいに片付けられるわよ、あいつ。
しずきくんならこちらで保護してもらってるけど。
Aoko's eyes widened.
うわ、どういう風の吹き回し？アリスがあいつの世話を焼くなんて。
だって放っておいたら青子が怒ると思って。
Alice responded with her eyes closed. Aoko frowned in silent indignation, as if she wanted to protest where Alice got that idea from.
まあいいけど、それじゃあ今ここにいるんだ、宗十郎。姿が見えないけどどうしたの？
Still unable to move her neck, she looked around as best she could.
彼なら気分を悪くして倒れたわ。今は営利神父の寝室を借りているけど。
Aoko furrowed her brow at collapsed. Sure, he was under the church's protection, but had Toko set the wheels in motion for his death?
何があったの？一体。
Alice paused for a moment before carefully answering the question.
それが、彼、あなたを見て嘔吐したの。
She had decided to be blunt. Aoko was taken aback. For several seconds, dim sunlight leaked through the window. Once she had found her voice again, she muttered.
いいけど、ひどい侮辱よね、それって。
Perhaps amused or perhaps exhausted from staying up all night, Alice cracked a tiny giggle.
何よ。そんなにおかしい、アリス。
さあ、どうかしらね。けど、しずきくんにも言い分はあるでしょう。今のあなた、とても見られたものじゃないわ。
Aoko appraised her physical state. She was dressed in a hospital gown. Bandages covered the majority of her body. Her right leg was in a plaster cast. Since she could move her right arm, she brought her bandaged fingers up to her throat.
そっか。思い出した。あのガキ、まず私の首元に噛みついたんだっけ。すごかったわよ。首が噛み砕かれるのって。ゴキーンって音が頭の中に響いて、気持ち悪いったらなかったわ。あそこから好き勝手やられたもんだから、つい忘れてた。
Aoko sounded upbeat, but the look in her eyes was anything but. She had been torn to pieces, but her life had been mercifully spared. At least she hadn't been dismembered. She had been bitten, beaten, and her bones broken. Magic crests containing the Aozaki secret arts decorated her body. Even if her spine was broken, as long as her body was alive, the crests would piece it back together. Despite the crests easing the pain a little, she still hurt enough to want to kill that wolf 100 times over.
視点は全部壊された。これで三崎市の霊脈はフリーってわけね。全容を把握してるのはうちらだけの特権だったけど、東子は昔から知ってる以上、解析の手間もいらないと。真剣な話、所有権の書き換えまで何時間かかると思う？
東子さんなら2日かからないでしょうね。支店の修復は土地そのものに任せるしかない。支店のプロテクトが治る頃には、この町はもう彼女のものよ。
明日の夜明けとともに破産する我が身とはね。それで、アリスの方はどうなの？まだいける？
思考魔術だけなら少しは。あとは小道具に頼ることになるでしょうね。
ああ、お話にならないか。
Aoko went silent again, staring straight at the ceiling. Alice knew all too well what that look meant.
それでもやるんでしょ、青子は。
まあね、私諦めるのってできないから。で、そういうアリスはどうなのよ。
私は一度自分のものになったものは決して人には渡さない。
Aoko muttered in agreement to Alice's terse response. Alice's intense attachment to her possessions was enough to make even Aoko shiver. Once something is mine, it stays mine. To take it a step further, betrayal was an unforgivable sin. This personal motto was further proof of her uncompromising nature.
オッケー、決まりね。じゃあ、悪いけどもう少し休ませて。今晩までには何とか動けるようにするから。
These two are gonna fight tonight after the hell they've been through? If the nun who stitched her back together had heard that, she would have fainted. Exactly. Aoko could barely even eat in her current condition. Even so, Alice nodded and stood up. As Aoko's partner, she knew that once her mind was made up, she had to trust her. Silently, the girl in black began to take her leave. She stopped in front of the door, her hand to her mouth.
アリス？
Aoko was curious, suspecting that Alice had something silly to say again. Quite the contrary. Instead of blushing, Alice furrowed her brow like she was thinking over a difficult riddle.
アリス？
Aoko called out, but Alice remained with her back to her roommate.
なんで間に合ったのかしら。
Told you, my boy's a speedster. I remember when he was running in the forest and he just like outbeat Tobimaru just to get to Kinomi. I almost forgot his name. She spoke as if the words had accidentally burst out from her thoughts. Alice's question was about something Alco could not possibly have guessed.
あの時もそう。私たち、始発で帰ってきたのに。
She carried on mumbling at the door. Unable to find an answer, Alice gloomily put her hand on the doorknob.
言いたくないなら別にいいけど。何がどうしたっていうのよ、アリス。
Alice did not respond. She opened the door to leave the room and left a few words hanging in the air.
どうでもいいことだけど、ゆいかさんには、しずきくんは見えなかったそうよ、青子。
The door closed with a thud.
そりゃまた珍しい。
Aoko mumbled to herself from her bed, seeming slightly happier. Blind since birth, Yuika Suze saw the world through her other senses. She was especially sensitive to enemies or those who bore ill will, and typically viewed almost everyone as a threat, presumably because that was the easiest thing to pick up on. So when she said she couldn't see Sojiro, that meant he was completely harmless. And then, that harmless individual decided to pay the small sick room a visit. Sojiro looked like a stiff breeze could knock him over. It made Aoko wonder who the real patient was.
何しに来たの、あんた。
Though Aoko could barely move, she was still able to give him the cold shoulder. His expression gaunt, Sojiro grunted something or other before beginning to speak more coherently.
アリスが客間で眠ったから礼拝堂にいたんだけど、人が集まりだしたんで、こっちに逃げてきた。
あ、礼拝の時間か。クリスマスだってのによくやるわ。
It was indeed Christmas, but regular mass was on Christmas Eve. The ones gathering in the chapel must have been truly devout followers. Tourists were rare in Misaki after all. So much so that almost no one visited the area this time of year. The worshippers must have been locals.
それで別にどうってことないでしょ。探せば顔見知りもいるんじゃない？
Aoko was as distant as ever. She clearly had not forgotten the fact that he had vomited when he saw her, and a hint of spite leaked into her voice. Then again,
いや、ちょうどいい機会だから、いろいろと聞きたくなって。少し話をしていいかな。
since Aoko was always in a bad mood, Sojiro did not pick up on anything out of the ordinary. She wanted to tell him to go drink some water because he looked ready to collapse, but he didn't seem aware of his own condition. And to be fair to him, Alice did say Aoko was in bad shape. Given how unaccustomed to blood Sojiro was, it was no wonder he had fainted.
ああ、そうか。話なんてまだ無理だな。すまない。出直してくる。
Sojiro seemed to have misunderstood Aoko being deep in thought as not having enough stamina to speak. Naturally, this did not sit well with Aoko.
待ちなさいよ。話だけなら別に構わないわ。やる気持て余してるし、暇つぶしがてらに相手してあげるわよ。ま、退屈しのぎにしてはちょっとグレード下がるけど、この際贅沢言ってられないし。
Sojiro sensed this was going to be rough, but took a seat on the chair next to the bed.
で、何が聞きたいの？
Aoko spoke energetically in an attempt to distract from her weakened appearance. Naturally, she knew she was fooling no one.
やっぱり青崎は強いな。安心した。
Sojiro said, nodding in admiration. Aoko shot him an unimpressed look in response to the unwanted praise.
あんたってほんと間が悪いわ。
ん？
いいわよ、別に。私の夢の話だから、そっちが気に病むことは。
She glowered, remembering. Come to think of it, almost everyone in her dream was here in the church, turning her dour expression to an irritated one.
やめやめ、こんなつまんない話。聞きたいことがあるなら手っ取り早く済ませちゃってよ、宗十郎。
よかった。じゃあまず今の状況を聞かせてくれないか。瞳子さんの話じゃ俺も無関係じゃないそうだし。
Sojiro spoke calmly, making Aoko wonder if he really understood the gravity of his situation. He was Toko's enemy now. He was defenseless and needed protection. Neither Aoko nor Alice could help him, and the church could withdraw their sanctuary at any moment. He had picked a side, and that had turned him from innocent bystander into target. The answer he sought was as simple as that. He knew the facts. He was not a mage, and was therefore powerless.
まあ、それでもアリスは助けられたわけだし。
Aoko did owe him for that. To say thanks, she decided to at least give him the whole story up until now.
よし、今までの経緯も含めて軽く説明してみましょうか。私も何か得るものがあるかもしれないし。
Aoko composed herself before beginning her explanation. The battle began at the end of November. A lot had happened since then, including meeting Sojiro.
事の起こりは1ヶ月前。三崎市に貼られた結界の端っこが何者かに消されたのが発端だった。私が跡継ぎになってから5度目の三崎市を狙う敵の登場ってわけ。今回の敵は私たちとは直接戦わず、まず土地を奪うところから始めたわ。今までのやつは私たちを半人前と舐めていたから、大抵は真正面から仕掛けてきて、勝手にアリスの猟犬の餌食になったんだけど、まあそれはどうでもいいとして、町の結界には2種類あって、侵入者を見つけるものと土地の力を有効利用するものがあるの。敵が壊したのは土地の結界の方で、これが全部壊されると私やアリスは土地の所有権を失ってしまう。土地のないはぐれ魔術師と同じになっちゃうのよ。もちろんそうならないように侵入者をあぶり出すための結界があるんだけど、こっちには何の反応もなかった。ま、当然よね。今回の敵は私の姉貴青崎瞳子その人だったんだから。青崎の結界は同族である姉貴を敵とみなさなかった。あるいは姉貴は結界の抜け道、構造の資格をついたのかもしれない。もともとうちの後継者はあの人だし、それぐらいの知識はあったでしょう。そうして姉貴は私たちに見つかることなく好き勝手に結界の支点を壊し始めた。時間をかけてゆっくり壊していったのは、外からやってきた部外者を演じていたからでしょうね。さすがに連続して壊されればこっちも身内の犯行だと疑うし、うち親戚である浅木家とは仲悪いままだしさ。姉貴の芝居に騙された私たちが間抜けなんだけど、セオリーとして結界崩しは長丁場になるものなの。管理地の結界は強固に作られているからね。普通は半年単位での攻防になる。攻める側はまず結界を形取る視点が何個あるか、それがどの5大要素でくくられているか、退去の正しい順序はどれか、それらを地道に解き明かしていく。もちろん管理地の魔術師たちの目を盗みながら。対して守る側は侵入者がいることに気づくから、悪さをされる前に敵の拠点を見つけ出して外敵を排除する。こんな感じで結界崩しは長期戦、あるいは前哨戦になるものなの。大抵は攻める側が視点を壊すぞとアピールして土地の持ち主を翻弄疲弊させてから、魔術師同士の直接対決で決着がつくわ。なんで結界を全部壊す必要はないのよ。管理地の持ち主を始末した方が早いし、その後は術式さえ解読しちゃえば土地を結界ごと横取りできる。 わざわざ壊して作り直すより、昔からある結界の方が土地に馴染んでいて強力だしで一石二鳥でしょ。だから私とアリスはとりあえず受けに回った。支店を探すために町を調査している敵を待ち伏せて、これを片っ端から倒そうって。でもそのうちの一つがケチのつき始めだった。三崎町の公園で山張って待ち受けていた時、どうでもいい第三者が覗き見してやがったのよ。
Indeed, it was the ultimate taboo in the world of magecraft. The existence of mages must never be revealed to outsiders.
その後のことはわかるでしょ。私は敵との小競り合いをアリスに任せて、それより重要な目撃者狩りに専念せざるを得なくなった。言っとくけど、これはあんたのことだからね。そこで我関せずみたいな顔しないこと。
No sooner had Aoko said that, Sojiro gave her that exact look. Clearly he had been listening, but not necessarily understanding.
ま、いいけどね。宗十郎がそんなだから秘密は漏れなかったんだし。で、あんたっていう目撃者を消そうとした私の単独行動は、敵にしても都合のいいものだった。強敵であるアリスがいないんだから、敵はこれを機会に私を始末しようと、特注品の人形を差し向けた。と思っていたけど、あれはただの嫌がらせね、間違いなく。そうでなきゃ、私そっくりの人形なんて派遣するかっての。
Sojiro nodded, thinking back to the Aoko replica.
あれのことは忘れてちょうだい。まあ、そこから先はあんたもうすうす知ってるでしょ。私とアリスは敵との戦いに専念することになって、毎日のように捜査の手を空振って決戦の夜を迎えて、今はこうしてる。大体の経緯はこんなところよ。
She stared down at her body, as if recalling what had happened would help her accept her current state. Under the sheet, magical energy steadily flowed through her partially bandaged body.
青崎、これまでの君たちの話は分かった。けど、肝心の今の状況はどうなっているんだ？
Sojiro's specific concern was the reason Aoko was lying there. More than anything, he wanted to know what had happened to her the night before.
バカね。状況も何も完全に私たちの負けじゃない。
Judging by her tone, she would have raised both hands sarcastically in celebration if she could.
負けた？
事実は正しく受け止めなくっちゃね。5つの支店が全部壊された時点で勝負はついたの。管理地の所有権は宙ぶらりで、明日には東子の手に渡るでしょう。で、それを阻止したいこっちは、私もアリスもこのありさま。もう立場は逆転したから、これから私たちは挑戦者。つまり、はぐれ魔術師ってことよ。
Which meant that Aoko, Alice, and Sojiro only had a few more days with which to utilize the church's services. Ida Church was not only an arm of a Magus association, but also a branch of the Holy Church that monitored heresy. Aoko and Alice were owners of Misaki City's spiritual lands, but they belonged to neither of these organizations. The only reason the church helped them at all was because they were the land's administrators. Once those rights were lost, the church would have no reason to provide any further aid.
エイリ神父はコウモリだから私を助けてくれたけど、ユイカさんは教会の代行者だから、傷が塞がったなら明日にでも出て行けって言ってくる。教会にとっちゃ魔術師なんてもともと排除すべき商売敵だからね。バカリツカはま、泣きつけば力にはなってくれるでしょうけど。
Sojiro understood little of what Aoko was talking about.
そうじゃなくて、青崎。
Alright everyone, I'm gonna end the video here for today. Thank you all for watching. When we come back, we will be continuing on in the next one.